So yes, I'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, the traditional owners of the land we're on. To start with, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Okay, hopefully I'll be able to go through this pretty quickly so that you might be able to intersperse a few questions and a bit of audience feedback. Essentially what we want to do is just to say we're doing something which I think should be of interest to people around here who are trying to perform e-commerce in interesting ways and potentially in standard ways. So a bit about us, a bit about e-commerce, where it's going, where we perceive it's going, a bit about some headwinds that are coming very much towards the e-commerce world from Visa, a bit about ourselves as a project for Freeway, and talking about our integration, and then a little bit of a demo if there's time for that. Okay, so we run a GPL-based open source e-commerce system which was forked from OS Commerce quite some time ago. I got into this, my background is as a systems administrator in Unix. I've forgotten most of it now because I'm spending very much of my time on business analysis. So I'm not coming from a developer's perspective, but you know, I can understand a large part of that part, but I'm really very much focused on driving an e-commerce application which is widely applicable to a huge variety of different types of selling on the internet. So that's particularly my personal focus. It's an Australian-Indian company. My good friend and partner, Jiro Prasanna, is in Sivakasi in Tamil Nadu in India. And over time you'll get to know him and the Indian side of the company, if you get to know us. We became, I started paying Jiro Prasanna to help extend OS Commerce because I'd given up thinking this is a base of e-commerce, I'd like to extend it to make something that can sell events. My wife runs a pregnancy yoga business, the biggest one in Brisbane, well it is now because of Freeway. And she was experiencing tremendous problems with getting her bookings done. You know the big thing, you want to finish a day's work in a day? She just wasn't. She was spending her whole Sundays working out how to accommodate people into classes because the spreadsheeting system that she was using just wasn't coping with the demand that was coming. So crazy me, I'd taken 2 years leave without pay, thinking it's great, give my wife a chance to work full time. And so I ended up coming back into IT by doing building a system that allowed her to do her own e-commerce. And so we built eventing for her, and then it's gone on from there. Okay, that's all I want to say about that. Okay, so just so that you know that we're not evil, and we have there's a lot of different ways to do e-commerce. What we could do is we could build a GPL application and then somehow deviously lock people into a closed endpoint where we make a lot of money out of them and there's not a whole lot in it for a community. But what we've been struggling I might admit this, we've been struggling for a long time to work out how we can foster a community but also make money ourselves. And we can put everything that we do out into the public domain. And so customers who come to us who want an enterprise hire system or they want an enterprise hotel system, for us to put all of that back into the public domain and for us still to have ongoing income streams. So essentially, we really are strongly about fostering a community. We do want to build best of breed, and I think, you know, I don't want to say we are the best, but I think we're at that sort of high level where if you want a complex service-based or event-based or subscription-based system, you can come and look at us. Subscription support is a way of income. Hosted enterprise services, so you know at the higher level, and also we have got a revenue model, so hosting companies can come in and supply subscriptions to Freeway for their users, and also customization. So the next thing I'll just say is you probably think about e-commerce in lots of different ways. Okay, who here, just so that I know, who sells products-based e-commerce at all? Does anyone do that on their website? Who here sells event ticketing on their website? Okay, we're going down in numbers, we've got a few wobbly hands. To Australia. Who sells services on the internet? By services I mean tradable services like appointments for you as a consultant, maybe car washing time for you over there, maybe tennis court bookings for you up there. Who does that sort of thing on the internet? Okay. All right. So it's when you go from products to events to subscriptions, and then you go to services, you're going on a sort of like a path that's becoming more and more complex. Okay, because when you get into events, I mean, I stayed with Matthias last night, thank you. There was one, you know, and I was in the midst of him getting all these phone calls at the last minute, and there had been a problem with the event ticketing system. With our system, we do all sorts of fancy stuff to avoid stress. And it might not be a perfect solution for what he was wanting, but it sounded very much like it. So I figure there's a role, there's an immediate role there at the heart of Joomla for what we do. Okay, so just really quickly on this, e-commerce, BBC World, you know, BBC website, they used to talk about e-commerce as a separate category. Now it's just everywhere. They just don't bother. It's just part of what they talk about. So, and the important thing that we distinguish ourselves by is that in the broader sphere of our economy, services occupy a huge amount of the actual trading of money. So in a modern westernised economy, between 85 and 90% of the economy is actually in services. Okay, a lot of you people here are potentially nervous about your jobs being traded overseas. What we offer people is the ability to trade their services that is in non-exportable services. So if you're a masseur, or if you're a lawn mowing person, or if at the higher level, if you're offering consulting services that can't be traded as in offshore, we offer you a solution, okay, to do that in a more modern way. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to shift people's mindset about what e-commerce is to be. It's not about just products. Products is something that people do, but services is what we really do. You know, we're able to help a business like my wife's business go from being completely unsustainable with an absolute inability to expand beyond a single layer of management, to being able to take time off, be strategic, employ second level of management, and grow the business. Okay? So it means the difference for small business. It means the difference between, well, collapse under burnout or profitability. And then there's a bigger story for for larger businesses. You've probably read the rest of that. E-commerce is big. Between the four big banks, they have about 20,000 merchants each. Okay. Oh, and the bottom one, which is the scary one, Visa PABP. Has anyone heard of the acronym PABP? Okay. PABP is like Y2K for e-commerce. It's starting in July this year. It's going to force the whole of the e-commerce environment for the whole of the world to be radically re-altered. So you remember with Y2K, there was all sorts of panic. There won't be the panic because there are solutions. I mean, it was largely that didn't make sense, but Y2K, you know, like it was overblown in some ways. Well, I suppose some of it was useful, but where I was working, it didn't. You know, we did a lot of work for no purpose whatsoever. But in terms of Y2K for e-commerce, Visa has basically said you will not be able to trade unless your e-commerce system is PABP compliant. And you want to know what PABP compliance is? It's that. It's stuff you can't do with most e-commerce systems. Okay? So I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time on this, but essentially what it is, Visa is mandating across the course of the next 2 years, and starting in July in the US market, US and Canada, a series of rules which mean that people have to start to very seriously alter their e-commerce systems so that they treat data much more respectfully. Okay? There's been pretty much open slather. So at the low end, you've got e-commerce systems that you can go and grab as a script, and it might not be secure, it might not treat your data properly, it might have all sorts of problems with it. So Visa has found a lot of pain. Essentially, Visa has had a lot of pain, and because they're the monopoly trader, they're just basically they're just saying to the whole market, unless you fulfil these requirements, you'll no longer be able to be an accepted e-commerce system within the next 2 years. Okay, so there are several cut-off points, but essentially, if you want to employ an e-commerce system now, you have to start thinking about PABP if you want to have longevity for that site. So it's basically about building security, building documentation, building all the sort of things you should do with serious e-commerce. And so I have to admit, we're not PABP compliant. We built to PABP, but we haven't gone through a certification, and that's what it's going to take. So So
I just wanted to ask that first point there.
yeah.
Does that mean that accounts with people like GoDaddy for domains and your hosting companies where you can just automatically renew it is going to be out the window?
No, it doesn't mean that. It means GoDaddy has to become PODP compliant.
But wouldn't that mean they have to retain the full credit card data to build it?
No, full credit card data, this is why I don't want to go through all of this, but full credit card data means the CVV number on the back and the magnetic stripe information and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's not going to restrict e-commerce, it's going to make e-commerce have to become a whole lot more professional. So my concern, I mean, it's a great commercial benefit for us potentially as a nimble and organised business that we can build to these requirements and get our certification, which might cost us upwards of $100,000 to be certified. And we're pursuing that study in February, or now. In fact, there's an article in the City Morning Herald coming out on Tuesday about how we're doing it, so we better do it. No, we are doing it. But it's paperwork, hey? No, but it's sad for me, you know, OS Commerce and Zencart and all these other OS Commerce and PHP-based e-commerce systems that are, okay? An event is a selection of a seat in a discretely timed event, or I don't want to use the word event again, but it's a circular, isn't it? But you know what I mean. There's a difference. But in terms of e-commerce, there's really significant ways about presenting events and services, and it's quite specialised. So there is a real reason for having an e-commerce shopping cart which gets right into the guts of that and allows people to do it easily. And subscriptions is you know, like a subscription to a newspaper or to a theatre season or something. It's a long-term access to a resource with conditions.
With products, do you include software download in that?
Yeah, product is a thing to us. Which you know, product is a thing.
But you've got tangible things you ship through the mail. Whereas
no, they're just a product. It's a product. Download, buy it, whatever. It's a thing. The products. Yeah. Sorry. All right. So this is a little bit about us. OS Commerce is what we're based on, and OS Commerce is ugly. I have to say, if I started over again, I would have done this from the very scratch. I would have started from the very beginning. But I was coming in as uninitiated, and so we took what was the most supported system, you know, the sort of most widespread system, thinking we were in for something, you know, it's going to be good. But now what we're doing is we're just ripping bits out of it here and there, and there's probably about 10 to 15% left. But what we're left with is all the ugly stuff in the template from OS Commerce, okay? Which will be addressed. So, yep, we are very strong on building a community. And we have a roadmap, which I hope sounds like we're serious, okay? So, I'll show you in a sec, we've got a Joomla integration that's very close to being finished, which will allow you to do native Freeway e-commerce within Joomla and with the same amount of ease as that installation. Okay, so you'll be able to set up selling really quite complex subscriptions or services from directly from within Joomla, and it will mimic the Joomla site. Okay, we're doing PODP, we're doing mobile e-commerce, we're doing major calendar system integration. So if you do an event booking, you'll be able to, it'll automatically jump into your Outlook or to your Thunderbird or whatever you use. And you'll be able to, in a little while after that, you'll be able to actually make an event booking from within Joomla, within those systems. And we're pursuing geocode and GeoIP much more than we have already. And localization will be done in a couple of months. So, and we're also doing high-level stuff. So, like a serious hire system for people who hire out cars or jumping castles or jukeboxes or whatever, and hoteling, the same sort of thing. You've probably seen attempts at hoteling e-commerce systems, but we're doing one that will do stuff like yield management and links with inventory management systems and everything like that. So, and there's other stuff that just pops up. Okay, so hopefully it looks nice as it is. It does have a template-driven template manager, but it's nothing like Joomla. It's not nearly as organised. So what we would be doing for you guys with this integration is we plug you in, we plug us into Joomla, and then you don't have to worry about templating. No, no, no. Oh, no, no. I don't mean a bridge as in you've got single sign-on. We've done that already. But what we're doing is you actually see all the products, all the events, all the services and everything, all integrated menus, integrated content within Joomla. So if it's not a Freeway button, it's a Joomla button. That sort of thing. And we've done an awful lot of work on it. Who here's used for, Zencaster or ECommerce? Yeah, so you would have struggled with the back end. Okay, so we've got an Ajax back end, which took us a lot of effort to build. So hopefully you'll feel happy with that. The system is multi-role, so it's suitable for bigger organisations. So in my wife's business, she's got staff who answer the phones, who can see certain things, and she as top admin can see everything, and she's got staff who can only add products and staff who can add events. You see what I mean? It's got a streamlined point of sale interface in the back end, so people answer the telephone and take a booking using a streamlined checkout. And that can work for events and services and products and subscriptions. It's got a lot of features. So do you all understand, or do you, I shouldn't try to convince you, do you perceive a need to have, do you see the difference between e-commerce and content management systems? Yes? Broadly, yes? I've been thinking about it a lot and thinking, why don't we just have the one big thing? But they're different, okay? They're different, and they're really different. I mean, they're different for this reason. When you're in e-commerce, you want to funnel the person to the sale. When you're in a content management system, you have kind of different reasons for potentially. You might want to funnel them to a particular page to view, but in e-commerce, you want to strip away all the choices and get them to buy. And there's all sorts of other issues like security at a high level in an e-commerce system, third-party integrations with things like dropshipping suppliers and accounting systems and ERP systems and so forth like that. So there are. I mean, I would love it if Joomla. It would be wonderful if Joomla could do everything. But it can't be an ERP system. It can't be a CRM. Well, maybe one day, and it probably can't be an e-commerce system. And so there is a bit of a differentiator. So. Yeah, so I do see a role for a dedicated e-commerce system. So I was just talking about bookings for Joomladay. I did this last night. So we have we have overbooking and overriding of bookings. So Matthias could have said, stuff the rules for this event. I'm going to shove that person in, and it works. So that's top admin can do that, and overbooking can be. Yeah, okay, we'll show the public 27 spaces, but I know that if we need to, we can bring in 13 more chairs. Yeah. So, with our system, you would have all received an SMS saying it's time to come to the event, and you would have got a nice email, really nice templated email, and hopefully the reports would have reflected what happened, and then the person could have bugged the website rather than ringing Matthias to see whether they were actually booked in. Why use Freeway? Why use Freeway? We think we offer a new way of thinking about e-commerce that addresses services in the way that open source e-commerce hasn't done so far. Okay, and in fact, enterprise class e-commerce, if you were to do Freeway in, say, WebSphere, you'd be spending maybe $500,000 or something like that, and a lot of pain. 5 minutes to go. So we're weak in a number of different areas. To be quite honest, we've got to build on that. We've got to work really hard in the next 6 months to come up to scratch. These things are very workful right out of the box, but they're not at the standard we expect. We've done an integration with Joomla. I'll show you right now. We've done single sign-on, user replication, menu integration, the header and footer of. And what we've done at the moment is wrap Joomla around Freeway. It's a sort of halfway house. And we've done simple CSS linkages. What we're bringing out in a couple of weeks is the full integration I was talking about. So I'll just show you what we've done. So that's Joomla, yeah? Down here are the Freeway products. Okay, so we've only integrated products at this stage, but we'll have services and events and everything also linked in. So this is using part of the Joomla template. Okay, so some of, obviously it's only little bits of picking up at the moment, but we can just add that to a card, and it's probably going to ask us to log in. It'll ask us to log in at some point. Because of the way the template's set up, I'm going to have to do that down here. I'm just logging in. So I'm logged in. I'll just jump back. So I'll start again. So it's found me and I'm logged in. I'm going to do a checkout. And it's pretty simple from there, okay? So you've just got a choice of checkouts. We've tried to build Freeway so that it accommodates a vast array of different selling types and different ways of getting people to the sale. In the back end, I'll just show you the back end of Freeway just for a sec, just so that you can see how it looks. So I'll just show you services just so you know. So we've got tennis courts, okay? We're hiring out tennis. And in the tennis court, we've got the description of the thing, we've got the way to set up the booking, whether it's, and hopefully some of you people, can you possibly see ways that you can use this, that you can book yourself out in, you can book your service out in hours, minutes or days, and you can make it do all sorts of fancy stuff like use a resource instead of just using the service. So you can have 120 tennis courts, and you can have different pricing for different types of tennis courts, and you can have obviously you can charge fees for it, and you can choose which times of the day the service is not available and which times it is available, and you can add loadings to the to the service, so that at certain times of the week it can be charged at higher rates. And then you can do even more stuff to it where you can add renewal periods for it. So just before I finish, who runs an event? What sort of event is it?
They run a variety of events, either dinners, networking seminars, lectures,
Freeway to do that. Who runs another type of event?
It's a festival.
Festival.
Yeah, a youth festival. So it's a multi-day event. They can buy single-day tickets or a whole week.
We can't do that. That's coming out in about 3 weeks. Okay. So we call that stepped pricing. Okay. We can't do that yet.
What about marketing and training workshops?
No, yeah, absolutely.
So you have prospects. I think you need to have a lot of data about a lot of people, but then later on they become course. So where does your system become a CRM?
There's a crossover. In the back, I won't go through that because I probably don't have enough time, but there's a crossover between what an e-commerce system is and a CRM is. We do a fair bit more than you probably think. We do newsletters and very, very, very good contact relationship stuff with email and SMS. Other sort of events?
Would it be applicable to membership style?
Yep, membership style, that's a subscription. Any other type of events?
What about when so-and-so there university is booking a table of 8 people for the boss?
Yeah, that's a group booking, that's fine. Yeah. Sorry, go.
Does it actually tell you a table, say, of 8? So it's not a group booking where you put in 8 individual tickets. It's a different price for a table of that.
Oh, it's a clustered price. That's coming with that one. No, it is seriously. It is. So another type of event. Yeah, it's quick. I'm more than happy.
You haven't focused on payment processes. I'm not sure this all falls apart.
Payment processing, we have a number of different ways. We can funnel a person through to your standard credit card check. All sorts of different payment processes, or they can be free checkouts, there are a variety of different ones. Who runs services? Who sells services and would like to sell that online? Can you give me a few goes to see whether we can do that? Yeah? Coaching, we can do coaching. What else? Booking and Nerd can be done. No trouble at all.
Photography?
Photography, as in book me, I'm available on Saturday afternoons, grab me for an hour.
That and combined with the product?
Can be done. You can buy a product and a service in the same transaction. We can force you to buy a subscription and a product at the same time, or a service and a product.
Any vouchers that expire with a serial code.
Done.
Are you planning to sort of looking back into Joomla, being able to sell advertising and access to certain funding on the Joomla site?
We've done that with Typo 3 at a very, very deep level already, and we can port that code across. That's a sort of subscription and linked with access to resources within the Joomla system. Yeah, it's feasible to do. We'd love sponsorship to do that though. We'd like to be paid to do that. It's a big job. I think I'm getting wound up. Two more maybe? Do you want to go to that?
Just with the newsletter, that's not being tracked in the business sector.
No, we don't go to that level. I use a something by a senior company now, and I always think I'm going to do that. You know, because but then we become a CRM, so we've got to be a bit careful. Yeah. One more.
Have you completed the Drupal installation, and how different was integrating with Drupal versus integrating with Joomla?
We're starting with Joomla.
Which was hard or easy?
We haven't touched Drupal yet. I've no idea. Sorry, but I have to finish. I'm sorry to get you all excited at the end.
Yeah, we have to stop here. So I would say, grab in the break, ask questions to the forum. I will get Damian to look after a particular forum if you like to answer all your questions. So we really need to move on with the second. I would like to continue the discussion as it is absolutely.
The train comes with Freeway.
This is not, hang on.
I'm more than happy to talk afterwards, and we're really quite an accessible company. So, yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Damian, for